What's up, Instagram? What's up, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter? I was on one of these sessions earlier and I was talking about how this weekend, Easter weekend, I was out. I was out in the desert. This is where my mother-in-law lives. And we had to go out there and take the kids out there, see it for Easter. And I bought a package of batteries. Okay. And the package of batteries, two pairs. So 4 AAA batteries. Okay. There's the request. All right. I get Nick in here. 4 AAA batteries. Okay. Nick, and I know you can hear this. You're coming in here in just a second. $19. $19. Okay. And I saw that and I about fell out of my inflation chair. All right. I about lost it. I was like, that is the most ridiculous thing I have seen in a long time. And, Nick's in Texas. I'm in California. In California, our gas prices are, you got to be kidding me. They are ridiculous. Like Texas, you guys have the refinery, so your life's a little bit easier. But I feel like it's a big hot button issue out of macro inflation, gas prices, what all of it portends. What does it portend for the fine art market? How do you think about what you're doing? How do you think about your pricing? How do you navigate this? Is this a huge thing to worry about? Can I get started right now? What should I do? All the normal pangs of self-doubt start coming into the equation. And you got to keep the level head in this whole situation. You got to understand that these things have come up historically all the time, notwithstanding my really expensive batteries. And it feels like a certain degree of uncertainty, no different than it did pre-COVID times. And I think that was the biggest learning lesson that we ever saw, in terms of how, regardless of what happens in terms of society and society at large, you do not let it stop your execution plan. Okay. You keep executing towards the goal that you are trying to achieve. And my goodness, the rewards that came for the folks that kept their head down all the way through COVID and didn't let them slow them down. My goodness. Then the necessity of mother was the necessity of invention in that one. Woo!
Yeah.
Woo!
Yep.
Legends of live art shows, absolutely out of control. But anyway, I figured, we should talk about the subject, okay, at a macro at large, how it applies to the fine art markets, especially if it applies to the fine art markets on sales, how it applies to businesses in general, how many times we weathered these scenarios and what it looks like, right? That'd be a good topic.
Yep.
How do you want to kick it off?
Yeah, let's do that. That's a good idea. I mean, the first thing that I would say too is that here's the good news for artists, right? There's a lot of good news for artists in a scenario like this.
Yep.
Number one, let me just get this like fact out of the way. Something that you and I have talked about many a times. We talk about it to the artists and photographers that are our members and all of this. But Pat, artist prices, are they already too high or are they too low?
Too low. Always have been too low.
They're always too low. And I see some Art Storefronts members on here, and I'm not going to call you out by name, but your prices are too low. And I already know them. I've seen them. I know they're too low. Okay. And so, so an easy way for the artist is you just raise your prices 10%. Okay. You probably should raise them 20% while you're at it. Okay. Let me explain this. If you're selling an item for $150, okay, let's say it's 100. Let's put it in like retail pricing terms. $149.95. You could use any price. All right. I'm just going to use this as an example. $149.95. Okay. You raise it 10%. Like I was saying, let's just start there. 10%. It goes from $149.95 to $164.95. Right.
Yep.
So the person that is going to spend $150, there's no difference between spending $150 and $165. They're not like, oh, you know what? I'm out. That did it for me. I'm done. Right.
Yep.
And that's the reason when I talk to many artists and photographers, I'm like, look, it doesn't matter when you're talking about a $300 item, it doesn't matter whether it's $300 or it's $350. You know what I mean? Like, that's not going to stop like thousands of people on your site from not buying, right? So that's number one. Like, this is a great time to like raise your prices. And here's the other thing. So many artists think that that people are coming to your website all the time, and people on your email list are reading every single email, and they're hanging off every single word, and they know exactly what your prices are. Let me tell you something. They have no idea what your prices are. None. I bet you can't even get one person to tell you accurately, without them looking at an email or anything like that, what you sell a 24 by 36 metal print for. Pat, is that not a fact?
No,
they have no idea.
No
idea. They have no idea. They do not care. Okay.
They're
All
busy.
that happens is
they're busy, same as you.
They're so busy. And I pay attention to so many artists are on my, like, I'm on their email list, right? Like, look, I'm on the email list for many products that I want to be. I'm not sitting there hanging on the price on that. When I actually, you know, the one time I pay attention is when I'm in the market to buy. That's it. When I come to the surface, we talk about the fish at the surface, right? When the fish are at the surface, that's when you want to really get them. When I come to the surface and I'm actually in the market to buy a print or a merch item or something like that from an artist, that's the first time I'm like analyzing the prices. Oh, is this one this, you know? And I take note of what that is. And what I mean is I might be looking at something and I'm like, oh, do I want to buy the original? Do I want to buy a limited edition? How does this all shake out? And you're kind of doing that math in your head. Or somebody on your site might be like, oh, I really want an acrylic print, but you know what? Those are super expensive. Maybe I should just get metal. Or maybe those are both too expensive and maybe I should just go with a paper print or a canvas print. You see what I mean?
Yes.
You know, or and also I could do a gallery wrap instead of a frame. The frame might drive up the price too much. Gallery wrap is fine. I can just hang that on the wall. It's ready to hang. This is great, right? So, but people are not doing, like, they're not sitting there hanging off what your pricing is. So you can just raise your price, okay? And you should. So that's number one. So right then and there, artists should not be affected by inflation in any way, okay? Your prices should go up. And
you have a built-in hedge. You have a built-in hedge that essentially you just rise with it, and that's it. Nothing changes.
Yeah. And while you're at it, raise them a little more than I'm saying, you know, which gives you more opportunity to use discounting as a tactic that doesn't impact the money that goes in your pocket at other times of the year, right? And so you can do a 20% off sale and you don't even care. And you shouldn't care. You should be priced in a way where your retail price is the perceived value of your product is higher, okay? And so that way, when you give a 20% off or something like that, you're sitting here going, that's all the money that I wanted to make on my print anyway, you know? But it's a win-win because the customer is perceiving your art to be at a higher value, a higher price, so you win anyway. So take advantage of it and move your pricing to where it actually should be, okay? So there you go right there. So that's a done deal. The second thing is that, you know, the stat that you and I talked about earlier, right? Which is that households with combined income of $300,000 or more a year, the study was done, or whatever it was, right? That inflation they are unaffected. 0% of them are affected by inflation. Not at all. They own assets. You know what I mean? They have good jobs. They own assets. Their assets have inflated, i.e. everyone who's owned a house for the last 2 years has basically like almost doubled their money, right? You own other assets. Those have gone up. The stock market's gone up a ton. You know, obviously it's corrected a bit recently, but it's still way up from where it was like after the 2020 dip, you know, and even like 2019 or 2018, it's still way up, right? Even with a correction. And so, and so like and so everyone has to realize, like, usually, you know, when you're in your own world as an artist or photographer with like whatever income level you and your family make, you instantly think like you are your customer, and you're not, right? When you're going to be building a 50 or 100,000 or 200,000 or more a year business, the vast majority or the biggest part of your income or sales are going to come from people that are upper middle class or upper class, right? And so they're unaffected by, you know, recessions and inflation and things like this. And so that part doesn't matter, you know? And so you just keep trucking along, guys. You just keep trucking along, and you keep building your business, because everybody needs to keep putting one foot ahead of the other. You don't have anywhere near as many leads, in your funnel as you need. You're not doing as much marketing as you need to be doing. And you just need to keep doing that no matter what's going on, and keep building your list and building your following. And good times will happen, and bad times will happen, and you'll have the ebb and flow in your business, just like every other business has. And guess what? The more that you build, when things are on the upswing, on the high times, you just crush it, but you can't get around the fact that you have to build, your list and your audience over a period of time. And you know what, Pat? It's the same thing for our business, right? Like, it doesn't matter what's going on. The size of the audience that you're speaking to really matters, and you've got to build, you have to build it, and you can't stop. And if you're brand new into the business, the best day to plant a tree was yesterday, right? And I won't say the whole saying, but you know it. And so businesses aren't built overnight. You don't turn into $100,000 a year or $200,000 a year art business overnight. You got to build it. And so you just got to keep going. You got to keep going.
Yep. And when you go back to the pricing is like really, really hard to understand, right? Like, we live in a headline driven world, right? Where the headline is constantly everything that you see. The headline is what inspires the fear and the freakouts and everything else. But when you realize, you're an artist, and let's say you're supporting yourself, or you have your revenue goals for your business and what you need to take out and whatever you're doing, it's very easy for you to raise all your prices 10% across the board. It's very easy for you to raise your prices 15% across the board. And what we're saying is, one, this is very easy to do, so do not stress about it. You can easily just ride with inflation. Number two, and thank God for this, art is not an Amazonifiable quantity. Okay. I can't look at your stuff and your prices and then all of a sudden pick up the phone and go to Amazon.com and see, did I pay too much? Is there a better deal somewhere? Right? Because your work is yours and yours alone. So it's utterly, totally, and unique. And so you sort of have some built-in protection there that people selling other this, that's, and the others don't. Okay. And then as a final to understand, so households with a combined income over $300,000 a year, okay, these people do not look at the receipt on the gas pump and flip out, okay? Do you know what they do? They drive up to the gas, they fill the gas, they go on about their day. And then at the end of the month, you pay the credit card bill off. So do you think they are going to look at that $14 price increase on your piece, or the $140 price increase, or the $250 price increase? This is one of the things that, like, Nick and I have had to learn about 1,000 times over the course of our lifetimes. Like, the tendency, okay, is to think everything that you do, everybody is watching. All right.
Yeah.
Every change you make on the website, they're all watching. They put into a packed house at all times, right?
Yeah.
Nobody's paying attention. Email, that they see every Facebook ad. It turns out you are not that cool. Yeah. I am not that cool. Art Storefronts is not that cool. It turns out, contrary to popular thought, the sun does not rise when I get out of bed in the morning. I wish it did. It doesn't. So these people are not, your potential buyers are not out there going, oh my gosh, they raised their prices $14 on this piece. I will never do business. Who do they think they are? Okay. None of that ever happens. None of that ever is going to happen. So in terms of these type of economic shocks coming into our system, the artist, the creative, the person selling wall art is actually better insulated than most people. Right? You just are massively so. So that's a very, very important point to make.
Yeah, exactly. You like, a lot of businesses don't primarily drive their revenue from upper middle class to high net worth, right?
No.
Like, a lot of them are right in the middle and are on the lower and like, that's where you'll see significant like income decreases or whatever due to inflation or whatever, or a recession or whatever it is, right? But the artist business isn't that way. Yes, of course, you guys all have those people, and you might see them on social media because they'll be louder on social media than other collectors or customers of yours. But I mean, Pat, if there isn't any proof in the pudding right here, you like to stay the course. One of our top selling artists, she literally days ago released a new piece, right? And we're always talking about experimenting. You have to experiment with new subject matter, okay? And new styles of your work in order to, increase your market size, to get your audience more excited, and to keep your business like growing and thriving, right?
Yep.
Otherwise you get static. She released a piece, like, what was it? 3 days ago, 5 days ago, and this thing is selling like hotcakes. Like it's Christmas, like it's Q4, Pat, right?
Yep.
Like it's literally Christmas season. It's like, and we have the orders channel of every order that comes into through our storefronts, through our members. That's over $500, and so
Yep.
we, every once in a while you go in there and you look just to see what's selling and and who's selling, like just to have your finger on the pulse. So our team is doing that type of stuff all the time. And I went in there and this thing is just loaded with the art that she just created. You know what I mean? And so
Yep.
here we are. It doesn't even matter what's going on. The same principles apply. You create something good based on what people want. You market it and you get out there and you sell it like crazy.
That's it.
That's it. Yeah.
Doesn't need to get any more confusing than that. And then also too, like, you think about when you have the perspective, and I always say this, but it's important, of how long we're all going to be doing this, okay? For the rest of your natural born lives. You're going to have this art business. You're going to attempting to be growing it and increasing its size year after year after year. You never let any of these individual economic circumstances, whatever is happening, none of it affects you, because they're all short-term shocks to what is a long-term system. Your system is a long-term system. Your job is to continue doing the marketing, continue focus on growing the business. Yes, there's going to be uncertain times, there's going to be ups, there's going to be downs, but the key to long-term success is not letting it affect your game plan, and not letting it affect your work rate, and not letting it affect what you need to execute on, right? You could say the flip side of it is like when life gives you lemons, right? And in Instagram, you can't see this, but we feel very strongly as a business, okay, that we only advocate for our customers to do the things that we're doing, right? Like I tell my customer base to constantly be running live art shows, constantly be going live, because it's an extremely effective technique. What are we doing right now? Live, like 5 days a week, all the time. Not until it like, I would never advocate that you do something that we're not doing also. So here we are. Okay. We're halfway through the month. I go and have my battery conundrum this weekend. Okay. And I come back and we're like, this inflation is ridiculous. We need to figure out what to do about it. And so you can't see this, Instagram, but the title of this post on Facebook is "Inflation plus high gas prices suck, so we're having a sale." Okay. And so what we've done at Art Storefronts is we are now going to have one of the biggest sales we've ever had for the next 2 weeks to get people to sign up. And do you know what's going to happen? It is going to be an extremely effective sale because it is timely, okay? Because people are pissed off at the high gas prices, and people are pissed off at the high inflation, as they should be. And we will probably do extremely well in the sale. As soon as the month ends, I'm going to be like, that was a really good idea. And I'm going to go teach our customers to do it. And I'm going to have all of our customers running an inflation plus high gas prices suck sale. So come check out my art. Probably be incredibly effective.
It will probably be incredibly effective. So yeah, guys, if you are looking to potentially start your art business or move over to Art Storefronts, join Art Storefronts, we're going to announce it tomorrow. I mean, we're announcing it essentially right now, but we are running the biggest sale that we've ever ran, with really cool goodies and bullet points on it to help you, not just now, but for years to come. It is worth talking to someone. Let me just tell you. So request a demo, and like go to our site, hit the request a demo button. It's always in the upper right-hand corner, or it's in the link tree on Instagram, or the link in the Facebook post. Talk to one of our people. make sure you get in, because what we're offering here for the next 2 weeks, we're running our own experiment on it, you know, and so it's substantial savings now and for the future. And I will tease something. There's a print on demand discount involved in this, and that means that when you sell and you sell a canvas print or a metal print or whatever, you obviously have your cost of that print. There's a little nugget in there that you need to find out about. So request a demo. But yeah, we're running a huge sale, and we're going to check it out, and we're going to see how it goes. And we're obviously we love it because we're passing on the savings to the artists and photographers that, you know, who need it the most. And if it works, you know, we're eating our own dog food. We'll come up with the playbook for our customers to do it and run that during May. Like it's after the Mother's Day sale, of course, right? Which everybody should be focusing on right now. I know our members are heads down on that because that's a big deal. Mother's Day, everyone's got to buy stuff for Mother's Day, right? So you don't have to bring this up during that. We could save this one, right? We can save this one. So yeah, artists and photographers, you just keep pushing your Mother's Day sale. But after the fact, we will be circling back to potentially have you take advantage of this. Because and you know what else I'll say, Pat? Something that's really important for everybody to understand. We've always talked about the importance of having the different price points, right? Okay. So high, medium, low. The best businesses.
Well, hold on. It's qualified because it's important. Under 100, in between 100 and 1,000, well over 1,000. People don't know that. You and I take for granted that so many people have zero idea that that's a thing. Okay.
Well said.
Massively important. Massively.
Yeah. Well said. And so, like, you know, I just think that when you're in these types of times, like it's ever more important to make sure that you've got the different price points, you know? So if there's people who are on the cusp, you know, like middle class or something like that, who might have, you know, splurged for a $500 item or something, you know, maybe the $400 item is the one for them now, or the $350 one, right? Yep. And so, but if you don't have it, if you're only stuck at the, you know, at the highest level, you might not get those people who might be following you, and who still want to, you know, participate in your business, you know? So I think that's an important one. And so we've already established how important it is to have the lower price point items, the merchandise, you know, and you can do it in a very classy, elegant way. It doesn't have to be cheesy. And I got to tell you too, by the way, there was a shipment that got rerouted to me, all right, that had to end up coming back to me. That was a customer's order, okay? Because like, I think what happened was like the address to the customer got like ripped off during transit, and UPS didn't know where to send it. And so it was just like, I'm like, just have them send it back to my house. I don't care. I'll look at it and we'll try to figure out who the artist is, right? And it came back. Gosh, the mugs, Pat, they're beautiful. I got a whole bunch of them, and the art is incredible. And when you actually have like a really good piece of art on one of these mugs, they're impressive. They're way more impressive than you would think, you know? So anyways, you can see why people get really happy when they get to get those, because sometimes there's people who can barely afford anything, and maybe all they can afford is a mug, right, from you. But they're super excited to be able to participate and follow you. And, you know, a lot of those people are the ones who, you know, share your messages on social media and different things like that. So you can't forget about them. They're a part of the equation.
We were here in this exact same position prior to March. COVID was hitting.
Yeah.
And we got up and we got creative, and we came with playbooks, and we came with various different solutions, what to do. And I just think it's critically important to not get caught up in all the freaking hype, in the hyperbole, in the ridiculous headlines, in the social media nonsense, because no joke, I am reminded that the folks that kept their head down, kept marketing, started running live art shows, and you know, some by pure necessity, were really clued in to marketing during COVID, and then had the best times ever, right?
Yeah.
Best times ever.
Yeah.
You got to remember scenarios like that and situations like that. I mean, some people just completely quit and threw their hand up and said, woe is me, I don't know what's going to happen. Like, absolutely not. I don't know what's going to come down the pike. You don't know what's going to come down the pike. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You have to stay executing. And like, look, we're not being insensitive. Like, I understand life change happens, like you lose a job or, terrible things happen, but that's not the issue. The issue is these little ups and downs and hiccups and bumps and everything else. You cannot let them take your focus away, and you can't let them get you out of your lane. Okay. You have to stay on the gas and keep going in your lane. It's important. No one talks about this stuff.
I had a mentor who told me at a young age as an entrepreneur, okay, this was over 20 years ago. And he said, when everyone is zigging, you got to zag. If everybody and their brother is at this trade show trying to sell the same goods that you are, go to this one, right? Where you're like the only guy, because you won't believe how much better you'll do, in one where you're the only game in town versus where everybody else is, and the hidden gem in all of this, Pat, that gets completely lost,
right,
is that during the pandemic, okay, and this actually happens during like any sort of recession or any situation. You have the people who are the glass half empty people, and they all quit, right? They gave up during the pandemic, like you just said, right?
Yep, I didn't complain about it.
And exactly, and so what happens? What happens in the market? There's less people posting on social media. There's less emails going out. There's less people marketing, and so there's less competition. There's for people's eyeballs and all that stuff. And your business actually can do better than it otherwise would. What do you think happens when there's the peak market euphoria of the stock market, and you know what I mean? You're at the end of these big long bull market cycles where the stock market, crypto, it doesn't matter what it is like at its all-time highs. Everybody is sloshing in money. Every business that ever wanted to start is on and popping, right? And marketing out there because it's easy, because it's easier. Like the perception is that it's easier, right? But actually, the easier time is when people actually start giving up and get out of the market, because they're not taking all that attention out, and you get more of it. And what have we seen during all of these times? We actually grow more than ever in times where those types of things are happening. And our customers during that pandemic, they were the ones that put their heads down and kept marketing and going. And they started, What did they see? They saw record-breaking years.
Yes.
Record-breaking years.
For the ones that listened all the time. Some did not listen all the time, and you know who you are. I'll be coming for you on this one. Like, look, we're not talking. We're talking, and I need to remind myself of this all the time. 50% is the tactical. It's the head and the heart. That's what it is. That's the easiest way to say it, right? It's the head and the heart, and you have to speak to both at the same time, right? Like the head is like, hey, here is, and however you want to phrase it, right? The head and the heart. Which one's the head? Which one's the heart? Here's the tactical guide of what to do. A, B, C, D. The pricing, the this, the that. The heart, though, is like, you getting affected and wrapped up in all of it and not being there emotionally there and losing track for whatever reason. You're dissuaded, or you're down in the depths, and you're letting that get in there and change you. So we have to speak to both sides of that at all point in times. And you have the plan, you stick to the plan, you execute on the plan, and it is fantastic. And you understand the gas prices are not going to be high forever. Inflation is going to go away, and it might just create a set of circumstances where the market for you is even better. So stay focused.
Exactly. Like if a lot of artists are like choosing to give up, then that is actually when you want to pounce. Okay, that's where I'm getting back to the zig and the zag, right? Because you know what? I mean, I've said this to you many a times, like, offline personally. Some of the best times that I've ever had as an entrepreneur are in the toughest times, because it's harder, like, for everyone to succeed, in those times. And so that, like, I think they get wrapped up in the emotional perception of it, and they just kind of give up, Yes. And then you find yourself as like the lone soldier in there, where you're like, well, I'm going to keep going. And all of a sudden, everything that you were doing just works a little bit better, and you don't really know why, and it's like, you do know why when you actually look at it. Like the competition, there's less competition in there, right? So many people gave up. And look, if there's one market, because we've been in it for so long, we know where people give up all the time, it's this one, right? Artists and photographers are famous for lobbying. I sent one email.
That's a good.
It doesn't work.
That's in good economic times.
In good economic times. Oh, I made 3 social media posts and I didn't get a sale. It doesn't work, right?
Yeah.
I sent out 1 email, on Black Friday, nothing happened. Black Friday marketing doesn't work, right? It's like, oh my goodness. But yeah, people will give up, and it's opportunity. That's the opposite, right? Like a lot of people are going to kind of give up on that, and especially with all this Etsy talk, maybe they're going to give up on Etsy. And it's like, more for you, there's more for the person who's just going to go for it and build a business like anyone else. Okay. And put in the sweat, because that's what it takes.
Yep. And I'll tell you, maybe this stuff all goes away tomorrow. Maybe we get pushed into a recession. Don't care.
Doesn't matter.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. None of that is anything that I want or desire. But the point is that you have to accept the things that you can't control in life, and you have to focus the things that you can. And rest assured, we'll continue to come no different than we did during COVID, with all of the tactical that we have, all of the various different playbooks, all of the various different ways to think about it, and art will keep selling.
Yep. And we're still, yeah, exactly. So we're running the big sale. We're running the big sale, and it ends at the end of the month. So that is a week from Friday is the last day of the month. Actually, it ends on I think it ends on a Saturday, but our sale ends on Friday. What is that? That would be the 29th, right? So yes. The inflation plus high gas prices stink. So we are having a sale. It's going to be a good one, guys. So yeah, if you're interested in joining Art Storefronts or getting your business off the ground, request a demo and talk to our team. If you talked to them, by the way, a week ago, you don't know about what we're talking about here. This just got settled this morning. All right. So this is new information. If you spoke to one of our reps a week or 2 ago, you have not heard what this new inflation incentive is that's happening here in April, where you can save money.
And gas prices suck.
Yeah. So make sure you shoot them an email back, or call them, or get back in touch with them, because we're running it for the next 2 weeks, and that's it. So take advantage of it, and it'll have long-term implications too, because
and then all the customers are going to be running it. So that's the game.
Exactly. All right. Should we leave it there?
Thanks for the time today. We'll leave it there. Appreciate all of you guys tuning in, and there's a bunch of customers on here. We're having a topic specific office hours, by the way, tomorrow. You should have got emailed on your Mother's Day sales and wrapping those babies up in the live art show place. So shout out for that. I'll see you guys tomorrow on that. Thanks, Nick. Thanks for the time.
Thanks, guys.